Welcome to Talking Insights. I'm your host Antonio, and today we have Liviu Micu from Research Executive Bucharest here with us. Today we'll be talking about labels natural, eco, green, organic, all that, and how all those product labels are catching serious attention from the consumers, especially in the UK and Greece. There's some new legislations in the EU regarding these matters of sustainability and how to promote the new products in the markets to be repairable and to have real incentives for people to learn how to do it. Liviu and his colleague Madalena created a study on these two countries and how the consumer perceive these labels of products. Stick around. Honestly, I really hope you enjoy and learn something new on this episode. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your study. I saw a bit of the presentation that Madalena gave in Greece, and it was really interesting. I always found fascinating for people to bring sustainability and diversity and a concern with the planet to market research and how to incorporate two terms. My first question would be regarding the consumers, because I know that your paper and your study also mentions and actually talks about consumers in a big way. How do you think that consumers can differentiate between the genuine eco-friendly products and the ones that are just greenwashing techniques?
Okay, okay, that is the question. Well, consumers should exercise due diligence, research the products and brands' backgrounds, and find as many sources as possible to confirm the eco-friendly credential of the brand. Who am I kidding? Of course, it doesn't work like that in real life. It's impossible for people to spend days, week to make a decision about each and every product they buy. Unfortunately, this is one of the big issue, the main issue we addressed in our research, and the European Commission tries to address through that directive against greenwashing in misleading product information. I think the best way to help consumers in an ideal world is to be able to access trusted information sources such as I don't know, consumers association, the kind of association that independently buy and test products, uh, to obtain uh, trusted reviews from independent testing and certification organization. And this is one of the things that the directive of the European Union aims to tackle.
And you were
So
mentioning that one of the main drives that you had to create this project was actually the EU directives and how the laws are changing. Is that right?
yeah, because we start thinking when happened to read about this new law. I think it was a vote in the European Parliament, just to give an idea how fresh it is. It was discussed for a couple of years, but the vote in the European Parliament was in January this year. And there are some steps until it became. I think it has to be discussed in the Council of the Minister, where we should receive the final approval. And after that, there is a period, I think 2 years, in which each European Union state has to implement this directive into national law. And after that, it will become law within you. That's the general framework as it was presented on the European Parliament side. But it's a very new initiative. But what it did, it specifically tried to tackle this kind of uncertainty around sustainability, eco-friendliness, and stuff like that. They said what this law will do, basically, it will ban it will forbid companies to pretend they are eco-friendly, sustainable, whatever. They have durable products, repairable products, because this is also a very, very murky area without proof. So you cannot say that I'm eco-friendly. Okay, what it does mean, and I suspect the next steps from a regulatory perspective it will be to define the criteria, to define norms and rules for implementing this law. And of course, I suspect at some point there will be law for creating independent certification organization, probably governmental organization. And I suspect that there will be some kind of seal of approval, like it's you probably heard about the bio certification from the European Union. When you buy bio product in the European Union, which has the official bio product seal, it means it's not just talk. It has to pass some to satisfy some condition to be certified as such. So I think it will have a double impact. First, it will help people to have real alternatives when they search for eco-friendly, green, organic stuff like that products. This is one because now there are a lot of companies who claim to do that, but you have no idea if how true these claims are. So big problem. So this law will do that. Just aims to do just that. Okay, if you try to claim such things in the European Union, you have to prove it, and you'll have to pass probably some certification. Probably you'll be given a seal of approval, and you'll be able to promote your eco-friendly credentials. And people could choose products with this eco-friendly stamp, official stamp, with greater trust than they do now. Because this is another issue, I think. I'm sure there are some really genuine eco-friendly brands, but they are drowned in the sea of claims. And I'm convinced there are also a lot of quite dishonest brands which just do the claim part, but they don't do anything really to make sure their products are more friendlier to the environment,
I'm sure of that. Yeah,
or repairable, or durable, or whatever the claims are. So
the dishonesty. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
so easy to just say and not
yeah.
do.
It's
That's
because it doesn't cost anything. You can
yeah,
say that nobody takes, there's no impact. Okay,
yeah.
you can say whatever you want without any repercussion or responsibility. And this law, it's very clear that aims to change that. So I think a good thing it will be the really eco-friendly companies will have a fair chance.
And the
But
fact that you're doing these studies and these types of projects almost like affects the way that we do these laws as well. Like I can imagine that
oh,
showcasing that the customers want certain things and not other things kind of affects the way that some people perceive the laws, right?
I'd like to hope so. We do it just for because we are passionate about the chapters, and it was an interesting subject to showcase because it's. I think you are interested from a business marketing point of view, but we are also buyers. We are consumers, yeah, and we face the same problems. Maybe I did. I suppose you too, and many of our listeners. When you try to, I'm willing to pay more because that's what many people said in both UK and English. Uh,
Mm.
they look usually many try to look for a more eco-friendly, sustainable, or green, or organic, or whatever brands. Also, they if they have option, they will buy an versus a regular product. They will buy the eco-friendlier one. Many of them are willing to pay more, to pay a premium. Some of them, a small minority, but they are willing to pay huge premium, over 50%, which is quite a lot. But in the end, you risk at the time being, because there's no way to prove it, which brand is the eco-friendliest, and or at least which brand satisfy the minimum threshold of eco-friendliness. You're willing to spend your money in vain. So we hope this will help in raising awareness. The law was before we did it. We did the survey, so it's clear the European legislator, the European members of Parliament knew about this issue. There was a lot of thinking around this law. I don't think it came very easily, but we hope to play at least a small part in it. We proved that yes, there is. This law didn't came out of nothing, out of the thin air. There is real interest for eco-friendly. Or another part we tackle. You probably noticed. I came back very often to the durable and repairable products
Mhm.
because durability has a two-way advantage. It's also durable product. It's usually associated, if not always, with quality because it to last longer. It's supposed to be built better, yeah, and also it's a good thing for the environment, for the planet, because durable product will be replaced later. It will last longer, and so will generate a lot less waste. And
Do you
we are,
think
yeah, we
regarding
sorry.
no, no, go ahead, go ahead.
I mean, what category of products we treated around durability and repairability here were in principle electronics, yeah, portable computing device like okay, smartphone, laptop, computer, and so on. The other types of consumer electronic household, like I don't know, TV, your gaming console, audio system, and stuff like that, and the appliances, both small and large appliances, which are generating a lot of waste, solid waste, and combined with electronic waste, so there's a lot of it. Durability and repairability could help us to reduce the amount of waste and of course to use a lot less resources than just throwing them after a couple of years and buy some new ones. So it's interconnected with this kind of eco-friendliness, just is from a slightly different angle, more or less on the same
I
page.
was I was thinking where you were talking about the durability and repairability specifically. Because from my understanding, like you can change the way that the products are made, and you
Yeah,
can in recent years we see like all these these prototypes of phones with like the batteries are again you can change the
yeah,
batteries again like it's the same thing that we did like I don't know 10,
yeah,
15 years ago, like you
yeah,
could
yeah,
remove the battery and just swap it for a new one,
yeah,
and now they are like doing like these new prototypes as like this new big thing.
yeah.
But it kind of reminds me that it's not always the products, because you also have to understand how to do it, and you also have to know how to do
Exactly,
it. So you have
exactly,
to learn how to do that. It's not just a product evolving, right?
exactly. And just to point out that you somehow stepped on the problem. This law is also tackling this kind. This is not on the greenwashing. It's on the misleading product information section. But it's, as I said, repairability and durability are, I think, are enhancing the eco-friendliness of consumer products. So one of the issue was, okay, you cannot claim a product is repairable when in fact is not in practical terms. What that does mean? Okay, you can repair it in theory, but if you don't have access to instruction, yeah, how to do it, if you don't have access to spare parts, or the spare parts are expensive like hell, you cannot claim anymore that the product is repairable. So this is you kind of guessed what one of the issues this directive is trying to address.
Because right now a
Yeah,
bunch of the products are kind of repairable, right? Like
are kind
you
of,
get,
but
but it's
okay,
so difficult for the general public and the general audience to do it that they're basically not repairable at all.
or they cost. This is
Or
part
they,
of
yeah,
the,
they're
yeah, the
expensive. Yeah.
plan of obsolescence. If it's costing so much, I don't know, to repair a product, it costs 80% like a new one.
Yeah.
Why you're gonna throw it and buy the new generation? Yeah, and also it's relating to the it's not just about the physical product, the hardware. It's also about the software, because in the modern world, more and more devices, including appliances, have an important software part. So it's forbidden. A new directive will forbid to promote software updates. To give you an example, a practical example related to smartphones, but not just smartphones, to a lot of electronic devices. You will not be able to promote software updates as mandatory if they don't address critical issues like functionality or security issues. And even more, you will not be able to push software updates that might lead to loss of functionality without notifying the consumers. The famous software updates for the older smartphone, which make them start to crawl. They
Yeah.
start to work very slowly. You will not be able to do this anymore.
This will only be in the EU, right? So
Yeah.
let's say that I have like, I don't know, like an iPhone or something like that, and
Yep.
but I bought it here.
Yep.
Do you think the big companies will eventually, since they already have to apply these laws and these changes to a certain market, they will just do it globally, or it's just too hassle to do it?
Hard to say. Maybe in the long term, I hope in the long term, yes, because I suspect it's not just having to deal with two types of basically two lines of the same product, using quite different logistic and software supply chains, which is a pain in the ass for the producers. But also, I suspect the regulators in other parts of the world will be inspired by this law, and that's why we went first with the UK, because we felt it's a very close. It's basically part of the Europe, but not the of the EU anymore,
Hmm.
unfortunately. And it's very much influenced by what happens in Europe. We just thought about, okay, just a short thought exercise. What it means for a business from UK, which deals with EU either by selling there or importing products from there, and which uses this type of claims of eco-friendly, repairability, and durability claims. It will be a nightmare if it doesn't prepare from the start, because it risks, if it okay, it's not my problem, it's in you, okay, and that business might find itself after 2 or 3 years, when the law will start to work. Okay, I have some products, some tea, let's say,
Hmm.
English tea. I say it's organic, green, whatever, this kind of. Okay, and you will try to sell to the EU, and then when the day comes, okay, okay, you have a nice tea. How do you prove this is organic or green or eco-friendly? Uh, Depending on your message, because I say so. Okay, it doesn't work like that anymore in EU. You understand? It's a
That's interesting.
business. It will be a real business issue. Okay, so what can you do in this? Either give up those claims for the products you sell in EU, if you are for two reasons. There could be two reasons, of course. One, you cannot sustain those claims, so the law does this job, or you are not able to obtain the certification for various reasons. You don't have time, you don't want to waste resources. I don't know. But what do you do with the products you keep selling in UK and other parts of the world? You give up those organic, eco-friendly claims. If you not, you will have two types of packaging, two streams of products, two streams of marketing. So it's an additional hassle. So
Yeah,
this law, even for countries around, especially for neighbors or those dealing heavily with EU, either by selling or buying from, there will be real business consequences. And we also talk about, Modelina also talked about a bit at the end of the presentation. It's just, okay, this is not just in theory, okay, to be greener and planet friendly, which is one of the purpose, but it will have real business consequences. So businesses that this kind of claims and product information which are tackled by this law should better start prepared, because this kind of changes, you cannot change the messaging, the packaging, the stuff overnight. So you have
Yeah.
to prepare. Although it seems in 2 3 years it's a lot of time, but in business terms is not very much, especially if you don't plan from.
And you'll have time to plan ahead and prepare for this
You have
change,
time,
right? So
yeah,
you'll have,
if you pay attention. If you don't,
yeah.
you might have a really nasty surprise. So
Yeah.
we ask
Or a
about,
fine.
yeah, we are also ask the UK people what they. This is a couple of questions we ask people from the country. What do they think about this law in general after we presented the summary or one-page summary? If they think in general it will help people to make decisions, more informed decision, and have, how should I say, to find products that live to their true expectations about sustainability, environmental impact, climate impact, durability, and repairability. And the overwhelming answer were positive in both Greece and the UK. And then we ask, okay, forget about the general relevance, but for you, do you think
Yeah.
it will help you to make better decision? You will, in fact, the question was something like, how much would you be likely to trust advertising a product information which complies with such laws, compare with advertising a product information which doesn't follow any rule? And the vast majority says at least somewhat more likely to trust, more than half. In fact, about a third, 2/3, sorry, in both Greece and UK. So it has a real, this kind of law, it has real relevance to people, to consumers. They will appreciate. And the final questions, which were this time a bit different in UK and Greece because it's the different context. In UK, we asked if they thought that the UK government, the authorities should implement a similar law in UK, and the overwhelming majority say yes. And for
Okay.
Greece, we ask if they think their neighbors, which are dealing a lot with EU, should do the same, implement similar law, and of course they said yes, most of them. So
That's
it
interesting.
has real impact, and people appreciate such law because it brings clarity
Yeah. And trust, like,
and
I think
trust. Yeah,
at the end of the day, the consumers need to trust that brand and to trust
yeah, and
that what they're saying is true and I can bring, yeah.
and have real alternative, because uh, for me it's an issue. I try to make some this kind of choices at some point, and I don't know what to believe, because you don't know. You just don't know. It's too much talk. You don't know how much, how real the deeds are behind this, all this talk about friendliness, environmental friendliness, and so on, and sustainability, which is. In my view, sustainability is a abused word, and more like an empty shell for the time being, because we research sustainability for other projects related to food sustainability in particular, and it's kind of an ambitious objective. It's not easy to achieve. It's very
Yeah.
hard to achieve, but
I think those words, like those big words we
yeah,
use
it's
in
big words,
marketing,
just big words in
they're
many
just big
cases.
words.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
The
it's a
organics,
shame.
the sustainables, those,
Yeah, again, green, eco-friendly, nature-friendly,
yeah,
nature neutral. Well, there are a lot of combinations
yeah.
which can mean anything, and many times means nothing. And as I said, it's a shame for both the consumers, because many of them want to make such planet friendlier choices, and also for the companies which are doing genuine efforts in this direction. Of course,
Mm.
nobody is perfect, but there are companies who are trying, but they cannot stand. above the rest because it's too much noise.
What's the final takeaway or key point that you want to everyone listening should take from this conversation?
I hope that this kind of laws will spread around the world, and at least they will. I'm egoistical. I live in EU, so I think people blame you for a lot of things, including the EU bureaucracy. But as you can see, this bureaucracy can be put to good use, and I think this is a very good example of this. And I hope this law will came into fruition as soon as possible. Help me to make better choice. Help other people to make better choice, properly informed choices, and also to, as I said, to help the brands which did real efforts in these areas, and they deserve because it's one way to do it and one way just to brag about it but do nothing. So, and
That's
as
right.
I said, regardless of their real credential, every business which has this kind of claim should start to look for this the law, this directive, and start to make a contingency plan because it could be a surprise for those who don't prepare.
It could be sooner than later. Like people need to start
Yeah,
preparing.
I hope sooner. But even if it's late, if you don't prepare, if you
Yeah,
do business as usual, it works now. Why bother? It might be the shock of the moment when the time comes. You've seen probably you've read that even with a lot of preparation, when UK, because we talk about UK separated from the EU, there was a lot of hassle and pain and how to make things work. Then the separation between EU and UK was very, very painful, even with preparations. This
yeah.
is not on the same order of magnitude, but could be a big, ugly surprise for those who are not preparing at all. I don't know how many there are, but I suspect there might be some people who say, "Okay, we'll see closer to the
Yeah.
point
Pushing
of
with the bellies
yeah,
and
yeah,
see what's
we'll wait
happened.
a bit more, yeah, we'll wait a bit more." But you know what happens in many such cases when you wait a bit more, and it proves to be too late, and you
Yeah.
start to panic when the countdown starts. So it's better just to be ready. And maybe they will reevaluate their strategy. Those who just are making claims but nothing actually they don't do actually eco-friendly stuff. Maybe they will want to also to start acting.
Because the
And
consumer at the
yeah,
same time is already more aware of these
there are,
things.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
think, yeah,
And they talk quite a bit because this is one of the areas we investigate, which are the sources of information. And as you can expect, there is word of mouth, but also the customers want to believe the brands. I think that combined the main sources of information are the primary sources, the producer, the brands themselves, and their sellers. So this is where they look. They don't start to okay if you have also somebody who had experience with that type of product or brand. You listen to it. You start looking for I don't know reviews and stuff like that. But still, the brands and the sellers, so the primary sources of information, the officials, let's say, are the very popular sources of information for people who look for I don't know how eco-friendly, planet-friendly, climate-neutral, repairable or durable product or brand is. So people want to trust brands. They don't start with I don't know. I have to check everything they say.
yeah. No, that's really
It's
interesting.
good, and this law will make these kind of sources much more credible, because they wouldn't be allowed to exaggerate.
Yeah. Well,
Let's say,
thank
okay, euphemistically, exaggerate if not outright lies. So
yeah.
I think it will be good for consumers and for the market health in general.
I think too. Yeah, it's a really important change that needs drastically to be put to practice soon because this needs to change. Something needs to change, and I think this is a really good starting point.
Yeah, because you know, in the end, the regulatory government, the regulatory authorities have to step in. It doesn't work by itself. There are always in any domain. I think if you want to maintain some basic quality standards, you have to have clear regulation and authorities which follow and which keep an
Mhm.
eye on this, because otherwise
They won't do it.
risk falling apart, and there are many people losing. As I said, people trying to find what they want, and honest brand which try to do that. It's
Thank you very much, Liviu, for this. We're way beyond time now. This was supposed to
okay.
be a
Sorry, but
short interview, but no,
yeah,
it's really important, and I think the when I'm doing this type of interviews and when we're doing these podcasts, we pick always topics that are important and are new to, especially for market research, for the
yeah,
companies and the brands to have something to think about that's
yeah.
going to happen sometimes in the near future, sometimes things that are already like happening and they're not even thinking about it. And this is one of those topics. This is one of those laws that the brands, the people, they need to get on track. So thank you very much for your study. Thank you very
You,
much for creating this and for
you're
being
welcome.
here.
Our study is available on our website. Well, you have to register to download it, but that's about it. Because we the full report of the study, because Madalena did just a short presentation in the time available. It wasn't meant to be something very long and boring presentation. There wasn't time anyway.
Mhm.
But there's more information, more detailed information in the report, and you can see, you can get a better idea of what I just try to describe in very broad terms here.
Yeah, I'll put the link in the show notes and in the
Yeah,
description.
yeah.
And yeah, thank you very much for being here, Liviu. It was really a pleasure.
Welcome. You're welcome. It was a pleasure for me to. I think it was obvious. I like the subject, and it was a pleasure to talk to you and also to present it, because I hope people will find it interesting.
Yeah. Well, let me just stop. And as always, thank you so much for listening. If you like this episode, don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.